right, coming to the stage, we have founder and CEO of Daily Dress Me, Nina Veer. Fashion branding digital media strategist, Ishmael Mayhew. Celebrity fashion designer and tech innovator, the designer of the stunning LED dress I'm wearing, Dalia MacPhee. And experience design lead for Jacquard by Google, Nina Walia. 3D designer, entrepreneur, digital sculptor, and co-founder of PicSuite, Janne Kyttanen. All right. Give this to you.
Okay, I'll go on this side now. Yours is on the ground. Yeah. Okay, hi everybody. My name is Bria Sullivan. I'm a software engineer here at Google. And I am really excited to moderate this panel of people who have been able to bridge the gap between tech and their passion. Because I'm a software engineer, I'm very passionate about coding. But I'm also like a designer, I'm a very artistic person, and I like to think of coding and all of tech in general as being a canvas, because you can kind of, with programming, create anything that you want. Everything that is on YouTube and everything that they've been able to accomplish is because of innovators and programmers and people who are passionate about that. So let's get started. So can we first start off with everybody introducing themselves and saying a little bit about their background? You can start.
Yeah, so my name's Ishmael Mayhew. I'm a digital media strategist. I also do a lot of coding. And I've always loved fashion. Fashion is actually a very new industry for me, but I've always secretly been involved for a lot of reasons since I was a young kid. And so this is really full circle for me as well.
I'm Nina, and I'm the founder of Daily Dress Me, where we tell you what to wear based on the weather. And this all works by using our proprietary algorithm. And I started Daily Dress Me when I was in high school, actually, and now I'm 23 and working on it full time. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hi, my name is Dalia MacPhee, and I'm the designer of Cierra Ramirez's dress. I'm not sure if you saw it. You have to see it a little bit in the dark to see it light up. I own a clothing line, mainly dresses and gowns. I started that 18 years ago, so I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but I was a little younger. And I started with 10 dresses, actually, for prom, and within 1 year, the line was in 1,500 stores and most major department stores. But I always had a dream to merge technology with fashion. 14 years ago, I actually launched the first light-up jeans in the world. Took them to Macy's, and Macy's said, this is either going to be our biggest hit or our biggest flop. And in 1 month, they were Macy's biggest flop. But I didn't give up. Every good idea has its time, and obviously, today was the time. So.
Hi, I'm Nina Walia, and I'm Experience Design Lead for Jacquard by Google. I'll tell you a little bit about what that means more later. But Jacquard by Google, what we're doing is we're making your clothes interactive. Hopefully you guys got to see the demo. If not, come find me later. I've also done interaction design or experience design for Nike. I did the Nike Plus Fuel Band. I did it for public broadcasting. I used to work with shows like Sesame Street and probably all the shows you guys grew up watching. And on the side, I love music. I used to be a DJ, and I'm a community organizer.
So my name is Janne Kyttanen. I have a very, very long background in 3D printing, especially. So I'm besides designing in 3D, sculpting and doing my artwork. We also have a venture capital fund, and we design technology organizations from scratch ourselves. Sorry for that. And especially within the realm of cross-pollinizing technology, like 3D technologies, augmented reality, virtual reality, sometimes fashion as well, and trying to find some new kinds of ventures within these crossroads. And big sweet if everybody had some ice pops outside already. Yes? Did everybody like it? So that is a very good example of the types of ventures that we're busy with. You know, again, you might not imagine creating a search engine, meeting 3D printing, meeting food every day. So if anybody has some ideas for new kinds of ventures which are completely crazy, then let me know.
Well, all of you have like really incredible careers. I was reading all of your bios when they sent them to me, and every single one was just like mind-blowing. But I'm sure you didn't start there. So how has your profession changed since you first started your career?
Oh my gosh, I mean, for me, it's changed a lot. Well, the technology industry in general changes probably every day. There's always new discoveries. It's like science, you know, it changes, and what people need changes, and how people live their lives change. So that naturally happens, and there's always something different that's thrown at you, and there's a new problem to solve. But I also think the overall makeup of how any industry has changed a lot since I've started. You know, we hear this buzzword of millennials a lot, and millennials have really changed the face of what corporate America looks like, and how it operates, and you know how young professionals are serving their audiences or the world. So
I love millennials so much.
too.
I will defend millennials to the death. I love them.
Well, for me, my actual profession has changed a ton, because when I started my career, I was in high school, and this wasn't really a career. It was something I was doing for fun. It was literally something I made for myself, because every morning I'd wake up, I'd check the weather, and then I'd decide what to wear. And so over the years, it grew really organically, and now it is my career. And I think it's a really interesting time to be in between retail, commerce, and tech. I mean, if you look around, so many stores that I grew up with are now going bankrupt, and you're seeing this new crop of brands that are really catering to millennials and our preferences. Customers have more choices, more options than ever right at their fingertips. And the way that they're being advertised to is very different now. It's very native, very organic. And so all of this is happening, and it's just really exciting to see how it evolves.
Well, I always say fashion is the last frontier, because I feel like every other industry has progressed so much. You think of cars and phones, and yet, like, where's our fashion? It should be doing so much more, which, thank goodness, we're finally getting there. But 18 years ago in the fashion industry, our fashion shoots, I mean, we were printing catalogs on paper. The photography was being done by Hasselblad cameras on real old school film. Some of our photographers know that we were using drum scans. It was very expensive. Now, obviously, everyone can do not everyone, but I mean, professional fashion shoots, it's like, you take the shoot, and tomorrow you've got the digital images out there. So that's a big thing. 18 years ago, there wasn't really the volume of online shopping that there is now. And then information. You really had to be a fashion insider to know what was going to be big the next season. Now we have to keep up, because you guys know before us what the next trend is. And then I think the last thing is really being able to touch people, touch the whole world pretty much with the touch of a button. You come out with something and everyone's able to see it instantly, and that's huge. So
Yeah, to that point, my profession didn't exist when I started my career. So after college, I went to graduate school, really super cool program, which was basically computers as an expressive medium. So doing really cool creative stuff with computers. And this was many years ago, and a bunch of us got together and made these costumes that we programmed so that the way you move could modulate sound and music. So you could kind of like DJ with your body and do a performance. And it was early days. And so we're doing all this stuff, but like my friends in my program were like, yeah, that's cool, but how are you gonna get a job? what are you going to do with that? And I was like, oh, I guess you're right. And I, at first was like, oh, let me do something practical, you're right. But then, like 2 or 3 years later, the Nintendo Wii came out, the iPhone came out, using the same technologies we were using to do all that modulation. Do you guys know what an accelerometer is? Have you heard that word? See, everyone knows what it is now. Not like when I started, it wasn't a thing. So yeah, I'm sure like there'll be even more new stuff coming up as you guys are coming up too.
I would answer that a little bit in a different way. I mean, of course, in my last 20-year lasting career, a lot of things have changed. New technologies, and people express themselves in different ways and all that. But I would have advice for everybody here, all the younger crowd, to don't be entertained, but be the entertainer. So when I was at school 20 years ago, I was the only kid at school who had a computer. And of course, I was fighting against the system, and we had these old tools, and everybody was drawing by hand, and I was told by my peers that, quote, that thing, computer, will kill your creativity. And I said, yeah, and you're going to be so unemployed. So again, to that note, be the entertainer, and to all the YouTube stars here, I mean, in today's world, it's a lot easier than when I was growing up 20 years ago. We didn't have YouTube, and it was a lot more difficult to get out there. And to your point, we didn't have online shopping, any of these things, so all these tools are available, so really, really go out there and kick ass.
I agree. Yeah. So did you have a plan for success when you first started your career? I'll start with you. We've been starting on this end, so we can start on that end this time.
If I had a plan,
yeah,
I only had one plan, which is to find happiness. And also everybody said in the previous panel about there's a lot of talk about passion. Try to find that inner core, trying to find your passion and really stay true to that. And if you find that, it's going to be a lot easier. You don't actually have to work. You don't have to worry about anything because you're happy every single day working on what you love.
What I will say that people, it's like, especially when I was in high school, like I was passionate about some weird things or whatever, but I still didn't know exactly where I was going. And I think that I want to reiterate that that's okay. If you don't have a passion, you don't have to force a passion on yourself. There are people well into their 40s and 50s that don't discover like what they wanted to do or what their passion was. It's not something that you can just look up. It's kind of something that the universe presents itself to you. But yeah, sorry, go on.
I think I'll say two things about my plan. One is I'm a child of immigrants. My parents came over from another country, and yeah, they had their education, but that doesn't always mean a whole lot when you show up and you look really different. And so I came up watching my parents hustle so hard and to get us where we are. And watching that, like, to me, there was no other choice. It was like, there is success or what else? Because they work so hard. I watched that, and I was just going to carry that on. So that's one part. And the second part is part of watching that kind of put that like practicality in me. It's like dreams, but also I need a paycheck. So what I've realized is I could be in any industry through technology. So as I was mentioning to you guys before, like I've worked in media and TV shows. I worked at Nike, which was awesome because I was a sneakerhead. Like I work in fashion now. Everything you can imagine, every industry, they need technological things. So you can be anywhere using that knowledge. So I think that was a major part of my plan is like, I'm going to take this practical skill set and be wherever.
Well, I think because I started so young, everyone is saying passion, which obviously is huge, following a dream, that's huge as well. I grew up riding and jumping horses, and anytime I was afraid, my trainer would always say, throw your heart over the jump and follow it. But I really think, the first year my collection blew up and people always said, well, how'd you do it? I had no fear because I hadn't been tainted by the world yet. I mean, that's honest truth. So I hope you guys hear this because you're so powerful right now. Don't let anyone tell you who you are or what you can or cannot do. I had no fear. I believed I could do anything. And so nothing held me back. I had a dream and I had a passion, and I guess that was the plan. So.
For me, sorry, that was great. And I totally agree with it because I started young as well, and a lot of people are so surprised when they hear that. But for me, I don't know any different, and I think I was almost naive in a sense, and I wasn't, daunted by the world either because I hadn't really seen it. And I'm still young now too, so I still can be a lot more bold than people, who have to support a family or, have all these responsibilities. But as far as when I was in high school and starting my career, I guess, I didn't have a specific plan for success. I didn't think of it like that. But what I did think about was, what did I enjoy doing? What was I good at? And how could I combine those two things into a career? And if I was able to, I knew I would consider that a success. And so I was always very creative. I knew I wanted to do something on my own. I was very intrigued by entrepreneurship, and so I guess marrying all those three things is what I would have considered to be a success at the time.
I have never had a plan. I still don't have a plan. I've always clawed my way. I've always had a goal. And so I've always spent my life setting milestones and having a vision. I remember Darren and John saying, seeing yourself there, no matter what circumstance you are in. And, some of you are already tainted by the world, you know what I mean? You guys are facing unimaginable, trials and circumstances, I did when I was this age, and I was raised by my grandmother, and there was never really a plan for my life. Because the plan wasn't to be raised by my grandmother. So I've always set milestones, and I've always clawed my way to where I wanted to be, and always set a vision for where I wanted, how I wanted to see my life. And that always changed too, because you get inspired by new things, and I don't want anyone in this room to feel married to any industry or even any vision to yourself. Just know what you want. I love what you said. You just wanted to be happy. I think that's one of the most important goals anybody could ever ask for, is just to choose to be happy, and be good to people and be good to yourself, and think of ways that you can use your gifts and your talents to give back to the world. So.
Yeah. Yes, that was beautiful. Yeah. One thing one word that you used, milestone, that's one of my favorite words, because goals and dreams and stuff can sometimes be arbitrary, but I feel like when you have milestones, it doesn't feel like it's the end. It's almost like a stepping stone. Sometimes people view goals as that's the end, now I got here, now what? But so I like that. But I think you did have a plan to get to each milestone, right? Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I kind of had a plan. I mean, yeah. I just figured things out.
Yeah, you got there, though.
Yeah, I did.
I heard, I was listening to a podcast, and I heard something that said, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And I was like, oh, read me. Yeah, so the next thing, we only have 15 minutes left? I'm going to go over because the last person went over, so I'm sorry. So if you had to pick one thing, what has been the major highlight of your career thus far?
The major highlight of my career, I guess, isn't anything career-based. Just any time I hear someone tell me that whatever I've done in my career, in my business, has positively impacted them and motivated them to get up in their darkest moments, I think that is a highlight for me.
Cool.
Whenever I get emails from my users who tell me about how Daily Dress Me has made their lives better and streamlined their morning routines, it's always really touching, and I love receiving those.
Well, I'm Canadian, and I was honored by the Consul General of Canada a few years ago, and that was a big deal for me. Felt very proud, felt like I was representing my country.
It's awesome. I always have two-part answers. One, my highlight is always the latest thing that I did. So right now it's our jacket with Levi's. So you can go get this right now in any Levi's store, well, most Levi's stores. And it's interactive, so it's pretty cool. And then kind of similar to what you were saying, I got to work with Michelle Obama's office on a digital campaign to help kids be more active. And I mean, that always feels super good.
Big,
Yeah.
I would say the proudest thing for me would be the next thing that I haven't done yet. So I don't like reminiscing the past. I didn't write a book. I probably should have. All these kind of things. I didn't write a memoir. No, I just want to make the next thing that is the craziest, weirdest shit that you could ever imagine. So I don't yet know what it is, but that's the next thing.
So I'm going to, piggybacking off of that, I'm going to ask one last question. We'll go to the audience. But if we don't have time to have everyone answer, if just maybe two people want to interject, what is a tech-related path that you have not gone down yet, but are interested in exploring? We kind of want to know, what do you guys want to, what's a cool thing to kind of go into next that any of you might be excited about? Because I know he's been talking about, what is it, tell me. Or he's trying to discover it.
You go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
You go ahead.
Public service. I mean, my generation, we need to step up. It doesn't have to be all the same people we've been seeing, like as members of Congress, as the people representing you in your city. So, something not tech related I want to do.
One more. Woo!
I'm still thinking. Somebody else?
Anyone else? And then we'll go into the audience.
I think just to piggyback off of what she just said, also social issues. I'd love to see some technological innovations in mobilizing communities and, really not just mobilizing communities politically, but also inspiring people of several different backgrounds and multicultural backgrounds and origins to really be active and powerful in their communities and use that technology to grow that and make the world a better place.
Awesome. Yeah, so we'll go. Let's give our panel a round of applause. Yay. Okay, how many questions do we have time for? We have time for one question. Who's going to ask our panel one question? Here.
How did you find your passion?
How did you find it? I think everyone should answer that.
My passion found me. I think there comes a point in life, if we're all being realistic, where you hit rock bottom. Like Darren said earlier, what you put on Instagram is your best moment, right? But there's a lot of other moments that are very discouraging where you want to give up on yourself. And so the magic happens when you apply grit, and you can't have magic without grit. So don't get discouraged by the grit and the mundane moments and the unglamorous moments, where your throat is sore and you don't want to keep working and you're tired. Use those moments to motivate you to make magic.
One thing I would say is to not be so quick to define your passion, because it's often not something like fashion or tech. It might be a feeling like accomplishing goals or solving problems, things like that. And so don't look to put a box around it, and just really look out for things that you intrinsically enjoy and things that you're also very good at.
That's good. Yeah, I think I always say that if you can't stop thinking about it and your desire to do it is greater than your fear of failure, then you've hit something. So, and that's changed for me over the years, but technically speaking, it's always been about creating something. So,
yeah. I think for me it was like someone mentioned before, a little bit of like what I don't like to do. So I started college as a computer science major, and I was like sitting there coding, and I was like, one day I was like, I don't want to do this for all my life. I want to be a music journalist. And so that's after 2 years of coding. So I went like to journalism school, but I couldn't, like, I already knew how to code. I already knew how to make things interactive. So then I was like running around like, let's make this multimedia video. And I like go bother the drama kids and like, let's make an interactive play for theater. And it's all because I already knew how to code stuff. But it was just finding that like, oh, I can do more than just stare at a screen. I can make this code do cool stuff. And I think that's where it came from.
Also, kind of to your point as well. I mean, I didn't have to work for it. It found me, but also it pretty much finds me not anymore every single night, but I would wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, you know. So kind of you have a higher power controlling you. So it kind of makes you kind of let go and just enjoy the ride. I mean, there's nothing that we have to fight for in a way, but I can also imagine that a lot of people, it might not come naturally. So I have one word for that, which is curiosity. Stay curious and try to find the weirdest, you know, meet the weird people, you know, go to the park and look at the grass and, you know, go to the library and read the weird book, you know, all these kind of things that you might find inspiration in areas where you might never imagine it to happen to you. And ask questions and meet a lot of people and also meet a lot of older people, ask them about their experiences through life.
I want to thank all of you for coming out today. I know coming to any part of LA is really difficult, so especially over here, and I'm sorry that it's so cold. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Are you going to be around to talk afterward, or yeah? Awesome. Okay. Can we have one more round of applause for our panelists, please?